Well, hello there.
Hello, hello.
Happy Tuesday.
It is Tuesday. It is the Copper Factory. I am Copper Dan. This is my
It's a Fen day
my
today,
my Fenday partner,
right?
Mr. Packer Jack.
Great to
How
be
was your
with
week?
you.
Yeah, you too. How was your week?
It was good. Busy. Had a nice Easter. Had at least had one of the three children home for Easter from school, and so that was nice. And
That's got to be weird. I mean, I'm only a couple of years off of that. My oldest is a sophomore, so she's only got a couple of weeks. What have they got? Like a month and a half of school left, and then she'll be a junior. And then a senior, my nephew's graduating this year. That's kind of a weird thing. I remember it, God, it was like yesterday he was born.
yeah, so we're gonna have our first college graduation next month, which is amazing. University of Wisconsin. So
All right. You can tell. I told my kids I'm counting on them to become very wealthy and take care of their dad. I'll become famous. They could become wealthy. Together we'll rule the world.
yep, and my oldest already has a job lined up, so she'll be coming home to live with
What
us and start a job.
what's the career of choice?
It's going to be in marketing. She's got majored in journalism, so
Maybe I'll hire her.
and it's mostly social media stuff. So
Oh, even better.
yeah, maybe she can help us make the copper factory look better. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard at this point of our lives to make us look better. Hey, we got a nice little agenda tonight. We've got episode 11 of the number one game show in the treasure hunting community. Why, Dan?
Because it's the only game show in the treasure hunting community.
That's right.
That's kind of why we're the number one rated old guy YouTube channel, because we're the only.
Right, and then we've got a friend of yours and some folks she's together with, and I believe she did.
We're going to have what could potentially become the number 2 best treasure hunt of the year on tonight. Do you know why it's going to be the number 2 of the year?
Because of the Trolls Cache.
The Trolls Cache. Oh. And it just so happens that this person helped me design the Trolls Cache. So
I remember.
Right? That's kind of must be a very odd thing for her.
Yeah. And as you and I said, as we kind of move on and keep moving towards the future, that as other treasure hunts go on, we'll try to feature those as well too, and help our friends out if we can.
Yep. Maybe we can create drama within her hunt and it will take off to be as big as the Forrest Fenn hunt.
I think she's got a couple less zeros than Forrest put in his chest. So
well, we could still create drama. I mean, theoretically, there are no more zeros left. There is no more money in the Fenn hunt, but yet it lives on. It lives on.
So and then last, I got another 40. We've got with all the slides done at 53 slides for all 3 presentations, and
holy cats!
The one tonight for me was just, I'm going to name it right now extemporaneously, things that make you go things that, after the whole thing with the Christmas card and Cynthia and the shows that were on yesterday, I watched both of them. Just got me thinking. And so I went back and just kind of looked at some stuff again to get a new perspective on it. And a lot of it won't be new, but it'll be interesting to look at the timing now in retrospect with the email and the photos that were released. And I think it'll make you guys go, too, as we take a look at them.
There is nobody that can make me blush like Cynthia Meacham. I reached out to her today and told her that I would be sending her a very special Christmas card this year, just trying to be a little smart ass myself. And she replied with, will clothing be optional? I'm like, damn it, Cynthia.
We know the history there. We know the history.
Yes.
Last show, episode 10.5. If you didn't comment, you're going to have until the end of this episode of Jack to pull up episode 10.5 of the Copper Factory. Make a comment. It can be as rude as I disdain Packer Jack and Copper Dan. As long as you're in there, we're going to do a comment picker after Jack. for
Are
this
you
beautiful
sure
shirt.
it's 10.5?
I think we said it was 10.5, right?
What is episode? No, it's episode 11.
Episode
Sorry,
11,
guys.
I lied.
Episode 11. Do
Comment
not-
on both. Say I really disdain Packer Jack and Copper Dan when you comment on.
Well, you don't
episode-
have to say, you don't have to add Copper Dan to that, but if you do want to disdain Packer Jack,
Oh,
do
it's
so
all
of your own
good.
free will. Let's see what's going on in chat.
Yeah, let's take a look here. We've got holy cow, Madison Badger, JK Pioneer. Hey JK.
Nomad,
Man, A.
Zozo in the house.
Facing Indies here.
Must listen good.
Yep, Rudy, I said already. Debbie K. Jeremy, aka Leroy, is with us.
Richard. Oh, is he really?
Yep.
Hey, Jeremy. I want to talk to him. I have the Leroy poster, and I'm trying to figure out what to do with it.
You have the
And,
Leroy poster.
Yes. Have you ever seen the Leroy poster?
I think I have seen a picture of the Leroy poster.
So it's it was made. I don't hold me to this, but I want to say that K-Pro, Mike and K-Pro, maybe just K-Pro, because this was before Mike and K-Pro had met, had this long, tall. It's not really a poster. It's like a
Cutout?
you'd almost roll it out. It's not, well, no, not a cutout. It is on a poster type canvas material that can roll up. Anyways, it's of Leroy, and I ended up with it about 2 years ago. It was passed along to me to start a YouTube channel with, and I don't really use them much anymore, and I didn't use them much even at the time. But I dusted them off the shelf today. I cleaned them up, and I talked to K-Pro, and she said, maybe we'll use them to pass them along, sell them, raise money.
I think Jeremy may want it back. It may have a street value now of like $100,000. So
yeah, so Jeremy, if you could send me a check, we'll send Leroy home.
Something tells me he would just get another one made before he would send you a check. But
Jeremy says K-Pro made it for the Jay Diggins fundraiser.
The Jay Diggins fundraiser.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is.
That was before you were. That is how I came to be in the chase. Well, it came not in the chase, but came to really meet all of you fine people.
Man, can you believe it's time for episode 10, Dan?
Jeremy gave me permission to use its name to auction it off for charity. Thank you.
There we go. We could throw Leroy into our big St. Jude's fundraiser with all these prizes that we're getting.
You know what? We need to come up with a special way to raise money with him. So tonight we are going to give away a shirt, and then we're going to start. I got the St. Jude's link set up. We are going to start. Oh, you're already into, you don't know Jack.
Well, no, I just put it up there. You can keep
That's
going.
all right. We're going to start tonight. We'll be starting the comments to win a collection of prizes that Packer Jack has. I just purchased something what I think to be pretty huge, and I'm going to be donating that to its own separate prize. We'll probably use Leroy to make. We got all kinds of ways we're going to raise money for the children of St. Jude's.
Absolutely, including Gary.
Do you know what time it is, though?
It is time for the #1 game show in the treasure hunting community.
That's right. Episode 10 of You Don't Know Jack.
All right.
What Copper Dan does.
Each show will invite Jack Stoop to join us for a fun segment called You Don't Know Jack. It's a fun segment to learn more about Jack without asking him to solve or chase related questions unless he volunteers to do so. There's no doxing going on here in the information list. Jack gives us fresh content has been shared elsewhere before on previous shows, websites, books, photos, articles, or other publications. We may revisit some of his emails to searchers or simply just ask trivia-related questions like the ones we were about to do. Remember, it used to say in this new feature. I took that off. It's not a new feature anymore. Just remember, Copper Dan is one of the only searchers that we know of that has sat in an airport and coiffed your Jack to get to know him since Forrest ended the chase. He knows Jack. So let's play what, Copper Dan?
You Don't Know Jack.
Copper Dan.
Here we go. Question number 1. In another article that Jack wrote, he envisioned a president of the United States laying on the couch in sweatpants and eating chips. What was the name of the president he was referring to, and what were the type of chips he was eating?
Ooh, which president did he envision laying on a couch in sweatpants eating chips, and what kind of chips were they?
Well, we know it's not Copper Dan because he doesn't lay on the couch at night anymore to eat potato chips.
Debbie says we should do a hand car wash for charity. I would do one. I just think it would be hard to fly to everyone's location to do it. But Richard Rutherford says Trump, incorrect.
When I first read this question, I thought Trump and Cheetos, but I was incorrect.
I don't see Vertigo here tonight. There's an open door for people to get into the copper kettle tonight. Debbie K says Clinton and barbecue. No, but I like that's a good guess. Candy Putnam says Jackson and Lay's. Bill Clinton and Pringles. Ronald Reagan. No. Trump and Doritos. Nope.
It is not Trump. So,
and it's a type of chip, not a brand of chip. Reagan, Ruffles. No. Taft and potato. Nice, Ken. All right. We're going to go 5 more seconds.
It is from Bush and Barbecue. Come a little bit. Should we give them a couple of hints?
No, this is You Don't Know Jack. Either they know or they don't know.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Jeremy was so close. It was Barack Obama and arugula chips. Jeremy said Obama and like veggie chips. That's pretty close. And since we were talking about Leroy, I think we're going to put Jeremy in the copper kettle on that one. What do you think?
All right. We're going to make the executive decision.
Congratulations, Jeremy. Question number 2. When Jack or Bill went to Forrest's house after they met at the lawyer's office, Forrest showed Jack the frog necklace that he had forgotten to put in the chest that would later rejoin the other items as part of the treasure. Forrest had kept it inside of something. What was the exact brand, with the exact brand name, had Forrest kept the frog necklace in and taken it out of when showing Bill it at his house? So when Forrest pulled that frog necklace out, what was the brand name of what it was in? And what was it in? Doody 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 doo. Doody doody doo. Doody doody doody. Boy, I'm not seeing any guesses. Are you, Dan?
I am saying nothing. The last thing I see is Jeremy saying, yay, yep. Me.
People are maybe looking it up. I don't know. What did Forrest keep the frog necklace in and took it out of when showing Jack, aka Bill? Richard Rutherford is like, what? Fort Knox, no. A Cracker Jack box, no. Oh.
His vault, no.
Vault, no. The exact brand name of what it was inside of.
Jeremy Parnell says an Altoid case. A cigar box. A cigar box. El Presidente.
A Ziploc baggie. No, and it was not brimming with water.
An REI bag.
REI bag. Not an REI or an IKEA bag. Tupperware. No.
Burp.
Oh, Nomadic Man's got part of it, but he doesn't have the brand name. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It was a Whitman's Sampler 4-piece chocolate box. Womp, 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 womp. Wow, we're 1 for 2 because we got Jeremy in the copper kettle. Question number 3, surprise question. Over to you, Copper Dan.
Surprise question number 3. In the alleged email that Jack sent to Forrest on June 5th, 2020, Jack mentions the names that he sees in the olive jar: Skippy, Donnie, and Creighton.
Donna.
In this surprise question of You Don't Know Skippy, Skippy's other son, his daughter, and first wife's names are not mentioned. What are the names of Skippy's other son, his daughter, and his first wife? We need all 3 to qualify.
Whoo! Another toughie of You Don't Know Skippy.
What are the names of Skippy's son?
Other son, because Creighton.
Other son, because daughter and his first wife.
Jeremy's in the kettle. Nobody else tonight seems to be getting in there right now.
Oh, excuse me.
Ryan Bavetta comes through in the clutch. Congratulations,
Kim,
Ryan.
Lana, and Irene.
Kim Fenn, Lana Sue Curtis, and Irene Roddy. We're going to give it to Ryan Bavetta, who enters the copper kettle. Congratulations, Ryan.
Jeremy said his other son was D.B. Cooper Jr.
Oh. And finally, question number 4. In an email exchange with a searcher, Jack was asked what his favorite part of Journal of a Trapper by Osborne Russell was. What were the adjective and noun that Jack used to answer this question on what his favorite part of Journal of a Trapper was? Doody 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 doo 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 doodly doo.
I wonder how many books of Journal of a Trapper sold because of the Forrest Fenn hunt. I think every single one of us probably bought that book.
I think it was either 305 or 328, one of those two. I don't think it got up to 687.
I bought the book and then I bought it on audiobooks and I listened to it while I worked.
Oh.
Full press.
I know.
What?
Bad.
Ooh.
All right. Cat fur. Debbie. All right. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's soporific qualities. Jack was making a joke saying his favorite part of Journal of a Trapper was that it put him to sleep. Thus ends. Thanks for playing You Don't Know Jack. Tune in next week for another riveting episode. Also, we'll change it up from time to time with live guests like Jack or ask some You Don't Know questions about others in the community. Tonight it was Skippy. Last week it was Billy Shaw Jr. The dreams just keep living.
You know what? Jack. Full press. I'm going to slightly apologize for deleting your comment because I thought you were talking about our show being blanking boring. He was talking about the 2 words. That's my bad. I will eat my words on that one. Oops.
Well, we are kind of boring, so I give it to him.
We are kind of boring. So maybe you're actually right.
Frost
Heave the Snowman.
Hard to forget Frost Heave. It's a jolly, happy soul.
That it's funny as hell.
And the oil tree. I wonder if Frost Heave did that to the oil tree. You never know. Oh,
that my damn goodness. Snowman, anyways.
All right. So, Dan, I'm going to stop sharing. And are we going to go to comment picker for episode 11 to do a draw?
You know what?
Anybody who commented?
Yeah, give me just a minute.
For It's a Real Bobby Dazzler official History Channel Curse of Oak Island t-shirt. And Franklin.
Which one did I used to use here?
Ben just wanted to hear me say Ben. That's why.
Yes, this one. And then I gotta.
So hopefully you've all commented on episode 11 of the Copper Factory. You can still sneak in while Dan's getting loaded. We still have 2 PowerPoints to go yet tonight, too. All right, we're going to give away the t-shirt.
All right, so I got my camera in the way here. I can't see top of my screen. Yep, I'm going to. It's got to get back over to the right. All right. All right, can you see my screen?
I can see your screen.
You can see my screen. All right. So I pasted in, that was episode 11. we are going to filter duplicate users. And I believe we're going to get YouTube comments. There are 31 unique comments. So 31 people played.
Thanks to everyone who commented.
I haven't read all the comments yet. Hopefully they didn't.
It doesn't matter. Like I said, they can say
Copper
that.
Dan sucks. Well,
Yeah.
you get 2 entries for that one.
Right.
3. All right. Here we go. Drum roll. Da, 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 da. Barry Casey.
Barry Casey, congratulations. He says, excuse me while I
frost you.
Ah. Nicely done, Barry. Please
Barry.
get your address to Dan or myself. I don't know if you're friends with Barry on Facebook, Dan, or not.
I am not friends that I don't even really know who he is, but that's okay. I will take care of letting Barry know, and we'll get him in contact with you since you have the shirt, and we'll send it on its way.
Oh, so Dan, we were having a conversation this week, and we were talking about all the running you were doing, and I'm like, man, do you get massaged or anything like that after, when you're doing 17 miles or whatever? And all of a sudden I remembered I had bought myself a gift last Christmas, and I had taken it out of the box, and the next day my wife and daughter surprised me, and I go downstairs and they bought me a full massage chair. So I have a full massage chair, and this was one of the ones that's human touch soul, whatever. And I think it's like $300. So I just said, Dan, do you want it? It's sitting in a box. My mother-in-law didn't want it. It's a pretty big box to ship. And I sent it up to you. So I don't know if you tried it out yet or if it works or not.
Oh, so it came on Saturday.
Yeah.
So the FedEx guy just dropped it at the end of our right in front of our garage.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know he put it. I didn't even know he was there. It's a Saturday. I'm not used to getting packages on Saturday. And my wife comes out. She goes, "Did you order a car seat?" I'm like, what? I go out and look. I'm like, oh, that's my foot massage thing. I'm like, so I brought it in, and so Sunday, I wake up. And I got a half a marathon planned. So I got a 13.1 mile run planned. And this was a test run up to Grandma's Marathon to see, and I was going to run it at or beyond marathon pace. And not only did I beat marathon pace, I crushed it. I ran an hour 54. I ran 13.1 miles. And I come home, and there was my new massage. So
foot massage.
Oh my God. So I actually used it just before we come on tonight. I went for a run earlier today, and my legs are still, I wish that thing could do like the whole lower torso, but it does your calves and the bottom. Oh my God. It's like somebody just pushing their knuckles into the bottom of your feet. It's like, and it gets hot, and it heats, and it can, as a vibrate out. Oh my God.
Nice.
I may never get I may just bring it down here when suddenly the copper factory goes 3 hours at a stint.
It's just the benefits of knowing Packer Jack. You just get random presents, right?
Yes, man. That's almost as good as the copper mug, or not copper mug, but the Yellowstone mug I got from you from West Yellowstone.
Well, speaking of treasures, there's a new treasure hunt. The Story of Leveret, or Leveret, I don't know if he's French or not, An Enchanting Hare, by Beth and William. And Dan, why don't you talk a little bit about why you wanted us to show this tonight? And there's a very special map that I know Beth worked on with you, and so you felt like if she's going to do a treasure hunt, you wanted to help support her.
So after my first treasure hunt, one of the very first people, those of you that don't know, I think most of you do know, my very first treasure hunt lasted about 2 minutes. No, it lasted about a day. It was like 2.5 days before they actually retrieved it. But Beth was the very first searcher. A lot of searchers reached out and congratulated me, but the one with the most positive comment that meant the most, because I always looked up at Beth like Beth was like a real deal treasure, not just treasure hunter, but treasure hunt creator. And she reached out and said, what I did with the coin laying into the geomarker to line it up and point your way was absolutely brilliant. She goes, she felt bad that my clues were a little too simple. And she goes, if you ever need help, reach out for your next one. And I was designing the Troll's Cache, and I just went, you know what? I've got too much money in this treasure for this. I want this thing to last. So I reached out to Beth. Beth not only helped me design the puzzle, but she did this. I don't know if you guys can see this awesome map, but I still have some left over. And we may throw a couple of those into some giveaways. But with that, I knew that she was designing her own hunt along with William Gardner. I think they just pretty much kind of like what Beth and I did, but even more so teamed up as you know, where Beth was behind the scenes on mine. When this one, she is putting her name stamp of approval on the cover of the treasure of the book here. And I just really want to help her promote it because she did so much for me. And I can almost guarantee everyone that this will be one of the best treasure hunts of the year, if not of the decade.
Yeah, so let's read through this. So she did do a detail with on Mysterious Writings forum with Jenny Kyle. So if you want to get more information, you can there. You can see the email address at theartofhiddenmessages@gmail.com. To get the book and to participate in the hunt, it's $32 through April 21st. She's going to start mailing those out on Earth Day. And Dan, you want to read the blue section on the story? And
yep. And just to let everyone know, so I don't forget, she instant messaged me and said she was ready to start selling books. And I went, okay, what can I do to help? And she goes, well, I don't want to announce it quite yet. I'm like, okay, well, I'll let you go ahead and when you announce it on my Facebook page, we'll go ahead and start to promote it for you. But she says, if you want to order your book, just PayPal me the money. And I not only PayPal her for one book, I PayPal her for two. And
wow.
One of you fine people is going to get a book from us as soon as they come. And I believe they came in today, and as soon as she gets it to me. So hopefully maybe possibly by next Tuesday.
Yeah. Do you want people to comment on this video today, or how do you want to do it? Or you want to think about it?
Let me think about it. Just let me think about it during the show here, because
Sure.
I might reach out to Beth quick and see if next Tuesday is okay to work. When is Earth Day?
22nd
of April, which is coming up. So I think we probably do that. I think we could probably do that. If you guys, well, we're going to be doing we're going to be doing a couple different giveaways off of this, commenting on this particular video. So,
right. Story of Leveret, An Enchanting Hare is a fantasy novella about a group of creatures and magical fays from an enchanted forest. You can follow their adventures as they search for lost keys that control the changing of the four seasons. Along the way, they find friendship, betrayal, and forgiveness.
Kind of sounds like us.
Michael Stadther's A Treasure Trove. Leveret's story is a real-life treasure hunt with 15 to 20 proxy tokens hidden all over the continental United States for you to find. Read the story, look for clues in the text and the artwork, and solve the puzzles. Go on an adventure like the creatures in the story. And if you find a token, turn it in for a handmade piece of jewelry, original artwork, and maybe a cash prize too. So it sounds really interesting. She's an amazing artist. So just the artwork.
Oh my God, she is. And so from one artist to another, yeah, I mean, she's a different type of artist than I am, but she does some wonderful detail work. She makes it look easy.
Yeah, and it sounds like they're going to have totaling $1,000 prizes, 15 to 20 tokens. And we're not going to go through the details of the rules here.
They're going to be hidden. Treasures to be claimed going to specific locations on the continental United States, and you have to recover a proxy item.
Alan Case says, if you know what Dan's thinking, you win. Woo! Do not attempt to find tokens in locations that you are not physically able to reach. Read all the signs, follow the rules posted in these locations. And again, this is the link. You can find it on the 6 questions with Bill Gardner and
I will
mysterious writing.
I didn't get it. I should have been on top of this and put this into the description of the video, but I will do that right after we go off the air here. I will throw the link to Jenny Kyle's and to Beth's. I put Beth's Gmail for PayPal and everything into the description of this video to make it very, very easy for everyone. Did you talk about the price of the book?
Yeah, $32 if you
Yes.
order by the 21st. And
to get a full book, and I guess these are quite a nice, thick book. I think that's pretty reasonable price.
yeah, give me a second. I gotta find that big long third PowerPoint that I did. If I don't have it open right now, I may not have opened it.
Wasn't it like that 150-page one you were talking about?
It's pretty big. Oh, let me cancel this. Hang on a second. I'm gonna need to try to share again now.
Missouri Dave just came in late, but he got caught up using 2.0 speed. Is that where to cover down talk really, really fast? I can only imagine what you sound like at 2.0 speed. You already talk fast.
Yep. Oh, Harry X Miss Kraken. That was the picture of Cynthia this last week up at still getting out to Fen Rock, even though there was another 6 inches of snow, I think, that day before she was out there.
Who said they hope they throw Harry in jail so we can stand outside and say, release the Kraken? Who was that?
That wasn't me, Dan.
Was that Alan?
I don't want anybody to go to jail on the chase.
But that would be funny. Release the Kraken.
Oh yeah, and this was the post today when we put up this for the show tonight. Cynthia commented on the bottom, Dan, will you be sharing the details of your future Xmas card? Love your card displayed, but not the one you promised me, although it does involve balls. I don't know what that means.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Carry on now. Move along. Nothing to see here.
So weird. This is weird. This is my presentation on things that made me go, after the stuff that's gone on the last week from when Dan and I did the show and brought up that Christmas card and kind of laughed about it. And it was what the face that launched 1,000 ships or whatever for the direction that people had discussions on last week. I've been doing searching all over for Christmas card and Fen, and all of a sudden it came up at the Cody Museum, the Buffalo Bill Center, the archives there for the Joseph Henry Sharp collection, and just talk about life being weird. I'm pulling up what's in these files, and as I go down the list, it says Christmas card to Fen, letter to Fen from RI for us, and letter to friend from Harold McCracken. And I'm just like, man, this is a weird world we've gotten into with this chase that, list that talks about a Christmas card to Forrest and Harold McCracken. Now, Harold McCracken obviously was involved in the founding of the Buffalo Bill Cody Museum, which is like all of us are kind of scratching our heads with the Jamie McCracken, Harold McCracken thing. So this whole thing is just bizarre. But when I saw this, my eyes just kind of went womp, womp, womp. So this is literally, if you look at the archives from up at the Cody Museum, there's this stuff in a box. I think it was put there in 1986 after when Forrest was doing the book on Sharp. And this stuff is listed there. And it's just one of those things, again, that is just freaking bizarre. This is a blurry view of Jack's email, or the alleged email, on June 5th. He sends it at 7:30 p.m., assuming that he was using a phone or a laptop where the time was correct for Yellowstone or wherever he was, and going to Forrest. Forrest replies at 8:05 p.m. This is on June 5th. So this got me thinking, to all the stuff that's gone on the last week, how weird was June 5th and June 6th of 2020? Just things that made me go, or didn't align in my mind, that got me thinking. And so I just went back and read a bunch of stuff and did a bunch of research. Again, none of this is earth-shattering or new, but I think when we go through it and read through it, you're going to see that there's just some things that aren't aligned. And those are the things that bother me when I see incongruity and the way things line up. Doesn't mean that there's potential evil going on. It just means that, to me, it's stuff that when it doesn't add up, I kind of want to get to the bottom of it and figure out what's going on. So I went because Cynthia was in the news last week, and I went to back to her blog and her videos, and just kind of went back to what was going on around that time from summer into fall of 2021. This was the final hug goodbye. It's a very touching posting by Cynthia about going to visit her father for the last time, and obviously her last visit with Forrest. I'm obviously going to respect that and not get into detail about those things, but there's one passage when she talks about the August 28th meeting with Forrest that came up last week when we were talking about the Christmas card. And that was this paragraph that's on her blog. So it's kind of like stuff is out there. We just got to go back and look at it. And then she said, when Forrest invited me to his home, August 20th, 2020, we sat outside in his front yard beneath the pine trees. The lawn chairs were set 6 feet apart to meet the social distancing requirements. Therefore, neither of us had to wear a mask, or so he told me. Despite having just turned 90 a couple of weeks prior, he was in great spirits, energetic, and his jovial self. After a delightful 2-hour visit, it was time for me to depart. We shared a lengthy hug just before I walked out his gate. Little did I know that would be the last time I'd see him in person. In fact, he immediately sent me an email inviting me again, and I'd replied I'd go home to Vegas via Santa Fe after the West Yellowstone Fen finale held Labor Day weekend. Forrest passed away Labor Day Monday. So that was the last time she saw him on that August 28th, when we were talking about the timing of seeing the Christmas card. So working our way backwards from October, then on October 3rd, she wrote Under a Canopy of Stars, a memoir. And I had kind of forgotten that Cynthia was writing another book. So she had a cover to it, Under a Canopy of Stars, a memoir by Cynthia Meacham. And she even had the pages laid out. And she talks about June 6th, which is what I kind of want to go back to, that weirdness of the 5th and 6th. So in the preface of this book that isn't for sale anywhere, I think she probably is redoing it. We'll talk a little bit about that. It was 7:15 p.m. Saturday, June 6, 2020, when my desktop sounded the annoying alert of an incoming email. I looked at the tiny notice that said from Forrest Fenn and quickly clicked on these words. And it was Forrest's email that went out about the treasure chest being found. I sat there stunned in disbelief and reread the email. What if he'd been hacked? Within a couple minutes, I replied, did you just send me an email saying the treasure has been found? Matt is with me now, and I let him read this. 5 minutes went by, and then Forrest sent her an email, and she read the words out loud to Matt, which is Matt DeMoss, Smell the Sunshine, who had met with Forrest earlier in the day at Forrest's house, and now is with Cynthia. Yes, I sent you the email, and now I'm going out to hide behind a tree. F. Geez, a year had passed since those definitive words crossed my computer screen, but I could still hear Forrest's soft voice in my head, repeating them over and over. The treasure has been found. The search is over. As I sat there on the fallen tree trunk with my back propped against the tall lodgepole pine, I studied my environment. The small opening was surrounded by a dense old forest of a few standing pines, but mostly new growth of 10-foot tall trees so thick that even the wildlife couldn't get through it. Thankfully, this special place of forest, which had become mine, was near the south end of the island. So remember, this is when Cynthia was with who people were affectionately calling the Nookers, Justin, Amy, Matt, and Cynthia. And they were believing that it wasn't the dry creek, but the wet creek that splits, or what we call the island at 9 Mile Hole. And I mean an island, the forest across the Madison River at 9 Mile Hole, a favorite fishing hole for locals and tourists alike, not too far inside the west entrance of Yellowstone National Park. The creek flowing from the higher mountains to the south down into the Madison River made a split about 300 feet from the river and then merged together again just before dumping its water into the river. Hence, an island of an area slightly less than a football field was formed. Ironically, this land feature even resembled the shape of a football field, and was Jack Stoops' words that he found Fenn's treasure chest in a forest smaller than a football field. I smiled knowing. The babbling creeks flowing on both sides of the southern tip of Cynthia Island, as I had named it, drowned out the road noise. I gazed north at the towering reddish rock cliffs with their sparse patches of pine trees rising sharply from the edge of the road, with the lapis lazuli sky punctuating the cinematic beauty. As I sat there in my pristine spot of solitude, serenity surrounding me, in my reverie, I went back to that first time. Now, I haven't seen this book come out, or I don't think any of us have. And I think
I didn't even know about this part of it.
Yeah. So this is when they believed it was the island, and obviously the trail cams and all the things that were set up for the documentary This came out on August 3rd. And then remember the GPS stuff. She had talked about her next boots on the ground, and that's when they went out to the GPS spot actually the week after that with K-Pro. So what I wanted to do, and I'm sorry, tonight's kind of, again, I'm getting wonky, but kind of just read through from June 6th, what happened on June 6th. And I want to go from Cynthia back to kind of some more words on this. So please bear with me. I'm going to read through these. It's just kind of not even a full chapter, but this was Dan Barbarisi talking about Cynthia. And he said, Cynthia says, I don't believe there was a finder. I think Forrest ended the hunt. Now we know since then she's changed her opinion, but this was at the time that Dan was writing the book. The book didn't come out until May 2021. So I have no idea if stuff could have been changed or not. But the bottom line is we know Cynthia now says Jack's the finder and so on and so forth. But Fenn had realized that if he passed on with the chest still out there, it would have been a disaster for his family, Cynthia believed. The incidents with those like the stalker Paco Chavez or the home invader Robert Miller would only transfer to his children and his grandchildren, perhaps indefinitely. He would be cursing those he loved most to a lifetime of persecution. No treasure hunt was worth that. I think he finally recognized what kind of hell would continue if it was still out there after he died, Cynthia said, what it would do to his family, his grandkids, and the Chase community. So she believed he agreed to put an end to this for their sake. His family, especially his daughters Zoe and Kelly, had always hated the hunt, she said, and that had only gotten worse in the past few years. The pressure from them to end it has been significant, and Fenn finally either caved in or came to agree with them. So he invented this nebulous tale of a finder from back east and figured that would be that.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Just quick question from chat. Don't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's all right.
Carrie Galloway, what is John reading?
So this is from the book that you see called Chasing the Thrill, Obsession, Death, Glory, and America's Most Extraordinary Treasure Hunt by Dan Barbarisi. Just to clarify, let me go back. I'll come back to this. Where I was reading from, this is Under a Canopy of Stars, a memoir by Cynthia Meacham. This is on her blog, chasingfenntreasure.com, and that came out on October 3rd of 2021. The caption about August 28th, 2020 was on the same blog from a posting called The Final Hug Goodbye on October 30th. So I'm working my way backwards from October 30th to the 3rd. And now moving forward back in time to June 6th, even though it's from Dan Barbarisi's book that came out in May of last year. So going to that second column, but then there was so much backlash, so much anger, such a refusal to take Fenn at his word that Fenn needed the chest itself as proof. I think what happened was there was so much disbelief that there was a finder that he actually had to then go tap someone to retrieve it and bring it home, she said, fingering Shiloh as the likeliest candidate to have gotten it and saying that accounted for the 10-day delay between the time he announced the ending and the release of the pictures. Coming from Cynthia, and this is Dan Barbarisi in his own voice, coming from Cynthia, that alone would have been meaningful, but this was no run-of-the-mill conjecture, no message board conspiracy theory. No, Cynthia had information. She knew something everyone else didn't about a specific episode the day Fenn told those closest to him that the hunt was ending. Something that afternoon, and we're talking June 6th, something that afternoon that she believes led directly to Fenn's decision to call it off. Again, remember, Cynthia's changed her opinion since then, so on Jack being the finder, but this was what was in Barbarisi's book. That Saturday, June 6th, there had been another incident at Fenn's house, she said. That day, there was just some family stuff, some slightly negative stuff that happened at the Fenn house around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So remember that 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which I know exactly what it was. So she's saying, I know exactly what it was. That afternoon, she said, a searcher arrived at Fenn's home. We now know from the previous messages, because she had it in her memoir, that was Matt Smell the Sunshine, and most of you know that anyway. But just want to fill in the blanks on who that was, because at the time in Barbarisi's book, she didn't want to say who it was. That afternoon, she said, a searcher arrived at Fenn's home. Shiloh intercepted the person and questioned him, asking what he was doing there, telling him no one was allowed in, especially in the age of COVID-19. That person began to leave, she said, but at that point, Shiloh learned that Fenn had actually invited the searcher to his house, so they called the person back and grudgingly allowed him to come in. The family is so pissed off, she said, but they allowed the guy in the house, and then it ends up that the family catches Forrest and this guy in the house without masks on in the house, and the shit hits the fan. Fenn had always thought himself invincible. After all, he'd twice crashed his jet in the jungles of Vietnam and lived to tell of it. So some virus, something he couldn't see, well, that wasn't going to stop him. But his wife, Peggy, had respiratory issues. And as Cynthia explained, if the virus entered their house, Peggy would die, likely Forrest too. His family understood that. Fenn seemed not to. That led to a significant confrontation between Fenn and his family, Cynthia said, one that felt like just the latest in a long string of problems related to the treasure hunt, big and small. The incident that took place on that Saturday was another unfortunate moment, not a crazy searcher thing, just something that had to do with COVID and then not having a mask on and Forrest not seeming to give a shit about it, Cynthia said. Fenn's family had put up with a great deal over the years, from basic searcher intrusions to the truly scary Paco Chavez type incidents. They didn't ask for this hunt to take over their lives. Who could blame them for wanting to be over? So all this takes place 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. And remember, this is June 6th. We saw the email at the beginning of the presentation that Jack sent, and then Jack is supposedly starting his drive to Santa Fe on the 6th. Isn't it funny how there's a finder at 8 o'clock that night, Cynthia said. Well, we know it wasn't that night. It was the previous night that those emails were exchanged on the 5th. What if his family made him end it that day? What if his family said, this is the straw that broke the camel's back? All right. Believe me, there's just a couple more pages here. So I'm just going to kind of go to the highlighted areas because I don't want to bore everybody by reading all this stuff. But Cynthia they talk about the Michael Wayne Sexton death that I've talked about before. Fenn could no longer say that all those deaths in 2017 had been before another time. Cynthia says, I think this was in the works since last year. Well, we now know from that recording we heard of Forrest with Dale that he was talking in December of 2019 of potentially ending the chase. I think the ending was in the works since last year because the family had put so much pressure on him. Then down below, or Dan says, okay, I said, but what if the person who visited the house that day was the finder? That was Matt. She says, no, emphatically, she knew who that person who visited the house that day was. And even though she wouldn't reveal his identity for fear he would face harassment, he was absolutely not the finder, she said. On the next page, Cynthia even said she had challenged Fed about it, that the very night he had emailed her to announce the treasure had been found, she said she had ultimately written him back to tell him she didn't believe him. After he said, yes, it was me that wrote the email, my reply was, I know this is bullshit. And then I went on to say, because I know what took place at your house today. Fenn did not respond. Going into the other highlighted section, on top of that, Cynthia knew about something important, someone that no one else did, the 1 p.m. searcher visit and the fight with Fenn's family that followed. Again, this is in Dan Barbarisi's book, The Thrill of the Chase. Then finally, Dan brings Dale into it, which I thought was weird. Yep, go ahead. What, Dan?
You called it The Thrill of the Chase, and it's called...
I'm sorry, Chasing the Thrill.
Chasing the Thrill.
And then Dan brings Dale in. And one of the things that I thought was strange about the New Yorker documentary was Dale was said that he was shocked, when the chest was found. We know, he'd been talking in December with Forrest, and Forrest talking about potentially ending it. So Dale says in the book, Chasing the Thrill, thanks for correcting me, Dan, it's a possibility that you can't rule out, but I'm not a believer in that theory, Dale said before wavering. But yeah, how can you not consider that? I do understand that, the pressure on his family has been tremendous, and they put a lot of pressure on him. I mean, it could be that, he finally folded, but I'm not ready to go there yet. So almost kind of similar to Dale's reaction in the New Yorker documentary there. Mm-hmm. So Goldilocks on Thor starts to talk about Matt, smell the sunshine. And she says, what makes this all more likely that he could be a player? And I'm not making any judgments on whether Matt, I don't want to bring, negativity back on this, but I just think it's very interesting to go back, because after I show you these three posts, Matt responded to Goldilocks, and I'm going to read Matt's response to her. So Forrest had into his home amidst the pandemic during a very busy week with the lawsuits, chest found, etc. Matt came onto the YouTube scene out of nowhere in February and March, and they became solid friends by June. Forrest was emailing friends and relatives promoting Matt and his skill as Forrest's biographer, my word, not his. To add to the Matt timeline, Dale said, then on June 16th at 7:33 p.m., Forrest sent the three photos along with the following statements and captions of the photos. So between 7:33 p.m. Dale's time and the next day at 10:56 p.m. Eastern time, according to my YouTube notification, Matt published his very detailed chest analysis in that short period of time. And then Goldilocks says, Matt went to Cynthia's either that night or the next day. Well, we now know it was that night because she said she was reading it to Matt, living 2 hours away from Forrest. I'd like to add one other thought, Goldilocks says. Whoops, there's Matt, if you don't know who he is. I was looking at my posts on Mysterious Writing regarding Matt, and I said this: I'm not saying it is, but this video strikes me as damage control to the theories floating around regarding flaws and aberrations spotted in the photos, which are presented point by point. Remember, the chest photo on the ground came out on June 16th, and on June 17th, Matt had posted a complete in-depth analysis of the chest photo. Pretty quick, if you ask me. So there's Matt, if you don't know him. And there was an article done in AccuWeather. Some of you may have never seen this, by an AccuWeather staff writer named Adriana Navarro. Treasure chasers look to weather for clues on mystery treasure site. And in that, it says, in a video he created to interact with the other chasers of the Fen treasure, he highlighted what a soil engineer observed of the environment. So Matt had interviewed a soil engineer. The ground in the chest photo doesn't look like it gets much wind, he had told DeMoss. The debris is neither swept away nor piled up. It looks relatively protected in a stand of pine trees. Note that the forest litter is not accumulated deep. It is maybe up to an inch of litter over stable flat ground. My question is, what photos are they looking at? The one where the chest was moved, or this sounds a little weird to me. Just kind of weird, like, you know, soil and root fragments in the chest drew debate over whether the treasure had actually been set down and left alone or buried, which would have not only made it more difficult to spot, but would have contrasted Fenn's statement that he had left the treasure on the ground and walked away. Forrest could have placed the chest on the ground, then covered the whole thing in a mound of snow. Snow melt and rain would still tend to work. The snow beneath the lid and rim, the soil engineer told DeMoss. While DeMoss was quick to note to AccuWeather that there wasn't much in the photo unique to any specific location in the Rockies that had been noticed, he theorized that perhaps a decade out in the elements had aided in concealing the treasure. Fenn hadn't buried the treasure, but Stoof told Barbarisi Fenn hid it in what he had called a nook, a depression in the uneven ground covered in debris. And if weather and environmental factors could help hide it, could they also provide a clue as to where the treasure had been hidden? Stoof noted that the blaze had been damaged, though he didn't provide much detail, but for DeMoss and other chasers, it was a foothold. So again, that was an AccuWeather article that came out where Matt was actually working with a soil engineer, and AccuWeather ended up doing an article on this, which I read that for the first time this week. This is Matt's response to Goldilocks. So Goldilocks sent Matt a message, and he kindly responded to her. Whoops, let me go back.
Wait, when is this happening? What? Give me a time.
Let me go back to see when Goldilocks's posts were. So this was in 2021 in March. This would have been in March of 2021.
So a year, just over a year ago.
Yeah. So this is Matt's email. Good morning. Thank you for your kind words about my video and for writing me. I want to preface my response by saying that I did not watch Monday night's show. I'm trying to move on from the chase, not care as much. For the most part, it's working out. I heard from a friend that some details were wrong in the retelling of the story of my visit. That's unfortunate, but again, since I didn't watch, I'm not sure about all that. Remember, this is before Barbarisi's book came out. So this is in between the story that I read that Cynthia had talked about what happened at Forrest on June 6th. Matt goes on, to answer your questions, Forrest did not seem stressed or excited during my visit. When Jack came forward, I was finally able to get clarification on something I had wondered about. When I met with Forrest the morning of June 6th, from 11 a.m. to 1:15-ish. Now remember, Cynthia said at 1 o'clock. Matt is now saying 11 a.m. to 1:15-ish. Did he already know the chest had been found? Jack made it clear, yes, that Forrest knew. So how, Dan, I'm just going to take a time out here.
Yep.
How freaking weird is this that Matt's going to the house, Cynthia's saying there was this blow up. We know Jack's email from the 5th, if what McCracken shared is a legitimate email from Jack to Forrest. What a crazy 2 days. And has Forrest got the best poker face in the world, or what in the heck is going on here that he's meeting with Matt? And remember, Jack supposedly slept in on the 6th, got up later. There was an exchange I recall about Forrest was worried on why Jack hadn't called yet. It makes me wonder if Jack called Forrest while Matt was there or soon after, or just what the heck was happening on the 6th of June. So anyway, I just found this really bizarre. And as I read through this, you'll see how Matt's story, even though he went to Cynthia's house that evening or met Cynthia that evening, and she has a completely different interpretation in Dan Barbarisi's book than what Matt says here. So let's continue on with what Matt says. So he said, did he already know the chests had been found? Jack made it clear that yes, Forrest knew. And he was cool as a cucumber. In fact, at one point, there was a lull in the conversation, and wanting to be a polite guest, I said to him, well, Forrest, I don't want to take up any more of your time. There was a beat, and he smiled and responded, Matt, I've got nothing but time, which obviously sounds exactly like Forrest. So no reason not to believe that. You asked about prearrangements. Forrest had invited me multiple times to his home, but you'll remember that from mid-March to mid-May last year, people were really bunkered down across the country. Some of that, it turns out, was overreaction. I think we all could have done more safe socializing, outside distance, etc. So Forrest would extend an invitation via email, and I would say something like, I feel the same way. It'll be nice when we can meet face to face. When I was boots on the ground the first week in June, so remember, Matt was boots on the ground the first week in June and then went to Santa Fe. Forrest extended a more formal and specific invitation, saying he wanted me to swing by on my way back to Texas. He felt that we could safely meet, and I agreed. I had been cautious and assumed they were doing the same. I had no real contact with anyone for many days and had no symptoms, of course. It felt like the world was opening up a little bit at this time, and we decided it was doable. Shiloh greeted me with no mask and shook my hand, my first handshake in 4 months. My mask was around my wrist at that exact moment, and I put it on as we approached the front door of the house. Both Shiloh and Zoe were possibly a little rattled because Forrest hadn't told them I was coming. So little rattled is a lot different than they're asking him to leave or walking him out. I knew nothing about the goings on in the Fenn house as far as who would be there and what their role might be. I was really just expecting Forrest. I thought he might be alone. Shiloh was acting as gatekeeper and Zoe was managing the overall affairs of the house, I believe. I pieced some of this together. I was a guest. I was walking into a new situation and was going to be courteous and adapt to the culture of the home. I was also nervous meeting Forrest for the first time. So yes, Zoe encouraged me to wear my mask. And as we were shuffling around and chatting briefly, standing 2 to 3 feet away, and I wore it as I entered the study, Forrest quickly put on a mask as he greeted me and invited me to sit down on the far end of his big couch. Forrest said something like, I would shake your hand, but we need to be cautious. He sat down on the other end of the couch about 6 feet away. After everyone left the room and we were alone, Forrest took off his mask and asked me to remove mine. I think he would have struggled to hear me otherwise, and he felt it was safe. During our visit, both Shiloh and Zoe at different times ducked in for different reasons, saw that we were sitting far apart unmasked, and neither one said anything. I take this to mean that they approved of the way we were socializing. Now, we can argue about whether this was, in fact, the safest approach, but the bottom line is that I had already decided to comply with the rules and practices of this home where I was a guest. I did it to the best of my ability and got positive feedback during and after my visit. So the theory that Zoe was outraged is overblown. About 1 o'clock, she ducked in to say that she was leaving. She told her dad that she had made him a sandwich and was on the kitchen counter. She saw the two of us sitting together unmasked and spoke and acted normally. It turns out that she got to doing some tasks and didn't leave right away. When I had to leave 10 minutes later, she escorted me out. She seemed pleasant enough, but I think she probably would have wanted a heads up about my visit and maybe a vote. I was a stranger to her, just another possibly half crazy searcher. So it wasn't a big warm and fuzzy vibe from Zoe, but I get it. She's supposed to run the house, but didn't know I was coming. I think Forrest probably planned it that way. So there's our buddies, Cynthia and Matt. If Matt leaves Forrest's house sometime around 1:15, he goes to hang out with Cynthia. Forrest sends the email out that evening, June 6th, that the chest has been found. Cynthia obviously knows Matt was there. Just very, very weird that the two stories were so completely different when, Cynthia probably heard firsthand from Matt. So I don't know if there's damage control there, whatever. And again, it's just so bizarre that this is supposedly the same day on June 5th and June 6th when Jack, the day before Matt's there, is emailing Forrest. Matt was boots on the ground, most likely up in that area to start the week. And Cynthia is in Dan Barbarisi's book, saying all this in regards to it. And obviously names that she was with Matt in her memoir that I showed earlier to that. But you know who's really behind all this is the guy that we see here with Matt DeMoss.
Oh boy.
We see him here with Cynthia. We see him here with Jack Stoof. And ladies and gentlemen, I have to believe that the real Zelig of the hunt is Copper Dan. Something's up, and I want to know what it is, Copper Dan.
Would you, it's 9 o'clock. We're going to have to tune in next week for more in the Chases Live.
So I obviously did a spoof card on Easter. I hope everybody had a great Easter.
Back up to that picture of me and Matt. Is that not my brother from another mother?
That is.
You could almost.
I was actually
between...
pretty touched when I read Cynthia's talking about she and Matt putting all the effort in to do the Fen finale, getting that organized for the fishing bridge photo. You know, I watched that. I saw the pictures of you, Dan, there, and then obviously, you know, on the Labor Day weekend ends and Forrest passes away, and she was with him on August 28th. We obviously know from watching, you know, the way that Cynthia's talked, the way she reacted in the New Yorker documentary, that she had a deep love and friendship with Forrest. And, you know, this was probably a very, very difficult time for her and still is. And I think it's what's driving her to want to, as she said, find that special place that, you know, she can sit down and know that it was Forrest.
Rudy Green says it was Copper Dan all alone. Copper Dan with the candlestick in the study.
So I got a few more things that I have the itch to. You know, Forrest telling K-Pro to go hard that the auction website was a hoax still kind of seems weird to me. Forrest wanting to see pictures if Jack showed up to the finale or, you know, had a partner. He told Mike not to settle the wager on Wyoming. Nothing is as it seems. Jack supposedly not opening the olive jar, which could be true or not. We don't know. But when you ask 99% of people say, yeah, I would have read it, opened it and read it. You know, we still don't know what's going on with the chest sale 2 years later. From Jack's, when Jack gets email 3 or the last email where he said, I'm going to pull back now and obviously prepare for the sale. We want to know what's in the olive jar. We want to know what happened to the emerald ring. And I think we all want confirmation of the exact location. So those are the things that are still kind of keeping me in this. And Dan and I, just so you know, Dan and I don't always agree on everything in regards to this. So Dan, I always appreciate when you give me the opportunity to put these on, because I know there could be certain things that I say that you don't agree with. But...
Well, no, you did everything tonight. You laid things out and let people make their own decision. The fact of the matter is there, and this happened a while back as far as Matt's concerned, is there was the Matt adamantly denying that anything happened in the house as far as any kind of blow up or anything when he visited Forrest. And then there was all these other things that came out that said no, that there was. And meeting Matt, Matt is he doesn't seem like the kind of person to lie. I mean, he was a really humble, nice, kind person. So I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, everything about Matt that I've heard, that I've never met Matt, but I've watched his videos. I mean, he I know he works for a religious institution, I believe, in Texas, and just seems like a really nice fella. But you know, things are not aligned there. So could it be I come to Copper Dan's house after I meet with Forrest, we have a couple pops, and I'm like, oh man, you should have seen what happened at the house today. And I'm thinking it's inside baseball. It could be that where, you know, I maybe use a little bit of hyperbole or not, because I'm talking to you and not talking, you know, making a public statement.
Well,
it doesn't seem like Matt would do that. But again, I'm not saying anybody's a bad guy here or anybody did anything wrong. To me, it's like, as I started the presentation, this stuff just doesn't add up to me. It's not adding up. So it's in that June 5th, 6th time frame, and it's just freaking weird. It's weird.
When you do lay it out like you just did, it is weird. If you wanted to make a drama soap opera from this, you couldn't do it much better than.
Yeah, I mean, what's Forrest's timing of sending that email out on the evening of
June? And then just the whole Forrest dies the day after the Forrest Fen finale. I mean,
right. Yeah, some people have talked about that. I mean,
I mean, it's just,
yeah. But I just think what happened, when did Jack call Forrest? Because Jack said he was going to call Forrest after he slept in. So let's say he sleeps until 10. Let's just say, for argument's sake, he's staying at a hotel in West Yellowstone, and it's 9 Mile Hole. So he drives the 10 minutes, not even, or 15 minutes, to get to 9 Mile Hole, has to traverse. There's a lot of people that are like, there's no way all those photos were sent in an email. Then drives to Cynthia's, and she's with the guy that was just with Forrest as they're finding out that the chest is found. And then there's two completely different stories reported from what Matt says and what Cynthia says. Again, just very weird. It's just a very, very weird thing. And just as weird as seeing Christmas card to Forrest Fenn and message to Fenn from Harold McCracken, when all last week we were talking about McCracken. But that's confirmation bias at its best, but it's just weird. This is like so weird. It's crazy. #weird is the
#weird
show.
People are picking on me because I'm yawning, and it's like, even my own show is so boring that I yawn during it. Sorry, guys. And I'm up and at 'em early, and I do a lot during my day. So yeah, tonight usually I'll be sipping on a cup of coffee when we're doing our show, but I am not.
Thanks for bearing with me tonight. Great to be with you, Dan. We're going to, Dan already set up the St. Jude account, so we'll get that out on your Facebook page and take some photos of everything that we're starting the giveaway with. And
we promised it. Let's do it right now. It'll only take a minute.
Okay.
Let's see. So first of all, let me share screen. And let me then realize timeout. Oh, let's see. I need to switch to the right. There we go. I need to change that first. There we go. All right. So if you look in the description of this video, and we will put it out on all the Facebook pages, this will take you in to we kept it the name Copper Dance CTOTC. I got a hold of my my contact with St. Jude's, and they said, can you just make a new event for me? And she just kept the names the same. So we could have, maybe I'll see if I can rename it, but I actually just noticed that. But you can donate to this event. So next week we're going to give away a Beth book. So that's going to be one of the prizes for next week. So what I am asking is that if you want to enter that, is you just in the comment section after we go off live here, leave a comment and you're entered to win. And what I'm asking you to do is go give a couple bucks to the kids at St. Jude's. You don't have to give a lot. It doesn't need to be like when I did the mat frame, people were giving $500, $2,500. I mean, give what you can if you can afford. If you can't, if you don't have any money to give, you can still enter the drawing. And we'll do it next week. We'll use comment picker again.
For those that don't know the history, Dan, you had done something really nice once, and someone was giving you a hard time saying it was illegal. And so when you did the map, you said, let's just set it up specifically so people can donate directly to St. Jude's. It's not going through Copper Dan, and you don't have to participate. You just have to comment on a video that we do or whatever. So we would do comment picker of all the people that want to enter into it. I know you were a little disappointed by the total number of donations, the total number of people that signed up for free, but we also know some people are going through hard times and they don't have, $5-10 to give. But if you do, and you want to be entered in for a bunch of prizes, you don't have to, but we're going to be putting, we've got silver from Tyler that's going to be in there. We've got books, we've got the Gary Drayton stuff. There's just going to be more and more that we're putting in there. I saw that Jeremy said he would do something if Leroy is going to be included in that, the Leroy poster. So again, like I said a couple of weeks ago, we don't want lockets of people's hair or their baby teeth. But if you have something of value,
just keep in mind, we're probably going to do this we got quite a few things to give away over the next month, 6 weeks, whatever. Oh, it depends how many times we do it. If we do it every week, every other week, but so when we did when I did the last one with for the signed map with from Jack and from Forrest and all that I put into that, there was about 400 entries and about 200 people that gave money,
which is great. I mean,
which is fine. It's just what it is. I wasn't. What I was looking at was the number that we raised, and that was huge. We raised over $15,000 originally, and then the winner of the map got a hold of me right away and said, I already made the decision before I signed up that if I win this, I don't want it. I want to donate it back to me and then put it on eBay. And then it raised another little over $8,000.
Right. Yeah. And
it's in a good home. It's out in Colorado.
It is a good home.
Godalkin has it.
Yep. Jack Steuf.
Don't start that. Jesus God.
Woo! Hey Dan, you guys go to Mysterious Writing and check out Beth and Williams. There's more on the treasure hunt we talked about tonight. You can get more information there.
Subscribe. Hey guys, we are at I'm sorry to cut you off, John.
No, you have to.
We are almost at 800 subscribers. 800 or 600 subscribers.
Say, wow.
Hello.
Yeah.
We are almost to 600. Hey, we were just at 500 like a month ago.
Yeah, we were at 400 when we started this.
And we are earning you guys one subscriber at a time, the honest, the hard way. We're not buying. We'd love to get to 1,000. Is that possible? I don't know. So if you haven't yet and you don't mind, give us a thumbs up. How did Toby used to do it? Like that. Thumbs up, subscribe if you would like, and stay tuned because we'll be back next week with more of the Copper Factory. The #1 rated YouTube old guy show because game show because we're the #1 rated YouTube show because we were the only two that voted.
Giannis.
All right,
hey, Dan. Take
care,
everybody.
Peace out, everyone.
Have a good night.
Thank you for showing up and listening to us rant. Peace.